Hey everybody, it's Craig with Smartphone and Me. I got a great face-off for us today. Motorola's Droid Razr just released on Verizon up against Samsung's Galaxy S2. And today I've got the Euro version with me. So, big face-off coming up. Before I get that started, I want to thank the folks at Best Buy Mobile for setting me up with the Motorola Droid Razr. If you're in need of a smartphone, make sure you stop by and pick one up from Best Buy Mobile. All right, let's kick this off. Motorola Droid Razr. Weighs in at 127 grams. It is the heavier of the two, but the thinner of the two. Sports a 4.3-inch Super AMOLED QHD Res display, 540 by 960. Also offers Gorilla Glass. Upper right center, you've got a front-facing 2-megapixel camera for video calls. Below the display, your 4 typical Android keys: main menu key, home key, back key, and search key. On the back, got an 8-megapixel camera with autofocus, LED flash, video capture, 1080p at 30 frames per second. It has a non-removable battery, 1780 milliamp hour battery rated at 12 hours and 30 minutes of talk time. Up on top, HDMI port, micro USB port, 3.5mm headphone jack. On the right-hand side, power and lock key, volume rocker, nothing on the bottom. And on the left-hand side, you've got a cover for the SIM card slot as well as the micro SD card slot, excuse me. You can see just how thin this bad boy is. Speakers right here, upper right-hand corner, along with the camera. As you can see there, this feels like it's probably rubber, but it feels like a leather texture coat on the back. Very, very nice, very solid device all around. All right, Samsung Galaxy S2 weighs in at 116 grams. Again, this is the Euro version. Sports a 4.3-inch Super AMOLED Plus capacitive display resolution, 480 by 800. Also offers Gorilla Glass. Also has a front-facing 2-megapixel camera, upper left-hand corner. Has 3 keys, 2 touch-sensitive keys, main menu key and back key, and 1 physical home key. On the back, you've got, again, an 8-megapixel camera with autofocus, LED flash, video capture. Again, is 1080p at 30 frames per second. It's got a 1650 milliamp hour battery rated at 8 hours and 40 minutes of talk time. Up on top is 3.5mm headphone jack along with a microphone. On the right-hand side is the power and lock key. On the bottom is the other microphone along with the micro USB port. On the left-hand side is your volume rocker, and the phone speaker is down here in the lower right-hand corner. All right, let's talk about processors on these two. Both of them offer 1.2 gigahertz dual-core processors. On the Motorola Razr, it's Texas Instruments 1.2 gigahertz dual-core processor. On the Galaxy S2, it's Samsung's Exynos 1.2 gigahertz dual-core processor. The Droid Razr comes with 16 gigabytes of internal storage. You can expand that an additional 32 gigabytes through the use of a micro SD card. It comes with a 16 gigabyte micro SD card pre-installed. Galaxy S2 comes in 2 versions, 16 and 32 gigabytes of internal storage. And again, you can expand that an additional 32 gigabytes through the use of a micro SD card. Both phones offer 1 gigabyte of RAM. As far as Wi-Fi, the Droid Razr offers 802.11b GNN, support for DLNA and HDMI out. Galaxy S2 offers 802.11ab GNN, support for DLNA, HDMI out through a adapter, micro USB adapter. As far as Bluetooth, Droid Razr has version 4.0 support for A2DP. The Galaxy S2 has version 3 with support for A2DP along with high-speed data transfer. Both have GPS with support for AGPS. Both phones can be used as Wi-Fi hotspots. Operating system on the Droid Razr, Android 2.3.5 Gingerbread. On the Galaxy S2, on mine anyway, it's 2.3.4 Gingerbread. As far as user interface on the Droid Razr, it's Moto Blur. And on the Galaxy S2, it's Samsung's TouchWiz 4.0. All right, next up, let's run our quadrant center benchmark test on both, and we're off. Good clean start on both. Again, they're both offering 1.2 gigahertz dual-core processors and 1 gigabyte of RAM. And the Razr is first into the graphics, just starting 3D graphics. You can see the frame rates, frames per second, lower left-hand corner on both. All right, Razr is just about done. Came back with a score of 25, looks like 88 or 48, up against 3,400. So our winner of the Quadrant Center benchmark test is the Galaxy S2. All right, next up, let's run our YouTube comparison. I'll kick this off with the Rum Diary trailer. Again, they're both running off the same Wi-Fi network, both set to default HQ, and that looked like it was a Galaxy S2, but barely. Both displays are set to default brightness. All right. Let's spool up one more, and then we'll try Netflix. Welcome to Kitty City. And that was the Droid Razr up first. Galaxy S, there we go. Fascinating stuff. Alright, let's head over to Netflix on both. And we'll try The Walking Dead, and we're off. And it looks like the Galaxy S2s are a little quicker. It wasn't. There we go. So our Droid Razr took 2 out of 3. And give you a quick look at the displays on both. You have 2 great displays on these handsets. One thing I want to run through quickly, and we'll just run this once, speedtest.net. Again, on the Motorola Droid Razr, again, it runs on, if you're not in an area where you have Verizon's 4G LTE connectivity, it's going to run strictly on their 3G network, versus with AT&T, which is what I have the Galaxy S2 on their Euro version, HSPA Plus. And I'll just show you a real quick demonstration of the difference between the two as far as download and upload speed, if everything goes well here. You can see the download speed on the Galaxy S2. It usually runs up close to 5 megabits per second, or we're going to get a little over 4, I think. No, we're going to get our 5.34 megabits per second. And you can see what we got off the Razr was 0.36 megabits per second. Upload speed is even going to be better on the HSPA as well. We're getting close to 1 megabit per second, a little over 1 and 0.11. So something to keep in mind when you look into Droid Razr, you want to make sure you're definitely in an area where you've got Verizon's 4G LTE coverage, and we're pulling the hammer on spending the dough on that bad boy. Next up, let's take a look at Raging Thunder on both. This is the Galaxy S2. We'll start with that. Alright, there's a Galaxy S2, same thing on the Droid Razr. Alright, let's look at Raging Thunder on both. Alright, next up, let's do a little navigating on both. Navigate to pavilions.
Head north on St. Croix Court, then make a U-turn.
Alright, there's the Galaxy S2, no problems. Waiting on the Droid Razr. Not quite sure why it's having any difficulties. While it's doing that, take a look at the display on the Galaxy S2. Redraws pretty quickly. You can double tap to zoom in. There we go. There's a Droid Razr, no problem. And we can pinch to zoom out. And we'll try, redraws pretty quick. Alright, let's take a look at the Droid Razr. Again, very similar as far as redraw. You can double tap to zoom in and pinch to zoom out. Watch it redraw. So both of them handle navigation quite well. The Droid Razr in this particular example had a little trouble locking on the GPS, but both of them provided voice-guided turn-by-turn navigation, no problem.